Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about a few different ways to breed guppies and ways that I've had success with myself. We're also going to be talking about some tips and tricks that I use for raising the fry and getting the parents to breed. So let's get right into it. So my first thing of advice is having lots of plant cover for the babies to hide in. What this does is it gives lots of places for the babies to hide from the parents, because the parents do sometimes eat them. And right now we're at the pair of red dragons, because this is just a really good tank that showcases that. As you can see, that there's Java moss everywhere, probably about a 2-inch layer, 3-inch layer of it on the bottom. And what this does is it gives babies a place to hide from the parents, like I said. And it also provides lots of natural filtration for the fish tank, if you do choose to go with the live plant option. You can also use acrylic yarn or different they make a lot of different types of grasses and stuff that you can, like fake plants that you can use. I usually prefer to go with the live plant route. I just prefer it. It looks better, it does a better job, and it adds that added filtration to the water. So it also will give places for microorganisms to grow and live for the baby fish whenever they're first born. Because if you've ever seen baby guppies, they are really little. So what that does is it gives very small organisms for them to eat. And yeah, it just gives them a nice little area to hide, and a little place to grow up until they get a little bit bigger, like this one, that's a juvenile. So they can come out and live with all the other fish. So yeah, that's my first tip. So we are now at my panda guppy tank, and as you can see, this cloud of stuff here, and if you take a look at one of them, let's try and focus on one of them in particular, you can see they're moving around a little bit. I don't know if you can pick it up too well, but they're moving. You can see them there. And as you can see, the fish are going crazy for them. And what these are baby brine shrimp. This is something very important to raising healthy fish, because what this does is it provides a very high protein source of food for the babies to grow up quicker. It's also very good if you're trying to get guppies to breed, or if you have a pregnant guppy, or you just want healthy guppies all around. Baby brine is a really healthy and very nutritious source of food for fish. And if you don't like the whole live feeding thing, you can always get frozen brine shrimp or like frozen bloodworms, stuff like that. You just gotta be careful with some of that. It might be a little bit too big for the babies to eat, so you gotta make sure you have little foods for the babies. There's also stuff like Daphnia cultures, vinegar eels, black worms. There's a ton of different types of live foods for the fish. I just prefer baby brine. It's easy, it's not too expensive, and it keeps your fish really happy and healthy. These fish in here, this whole group of panda guppies, not that's the adult male. Most of these in here are about I'd say a month to 2 months old, and I've been feeding them primarily brine, baby brine shrimp. So you can see how fast that they're growing. Maybe about 1 more month and they'll be ready to sell. Also, because I feed baby brine, all of my fish are extremely healthy and hardy. So if you order off of me, you'll know you'll be getting some nice high quality fish. Alright, so something else that I like doing is having a sponge filter in the tank. So as you can see, that big black thing in the back that has bubbles coming out of it, that's called a sponge filter. I'm sure a lot of you know what a sponge filter is, but for my people that do not, that is what a sponge filter is. You can get them on Amazon. They're very cheap. They're fairly cheap. It depends on the kind you want, the size of them and stuff like that. So what this does is it aerates the water very well. That's why I enjoy them. I also like them because you're not going to have any babies get sucked up into them. So as you can see back by the sponge filters, I have little baby fish swimming all over the place, little baby guppies. And there's a ton of different types of filters. There's hang-on backs, there's in-tank filters, under gravel filters, canister filters, you name it. There's a ton. But I prefer using sponge filters because what they do is it doesn't have a lot of suction to it. So it's not the greatest for filtering per se, but it won't suck up any of your baby guppies. So it's very safe for guppies, shrimp, anything little. Any little fish that you have, it's very safe for them. Very unlikely for fish to get killed by them. You know, you might have the odd case of one getting stuck in the tube or something, but very unlikely. And it also is very good for beneficial bacteria because, like the name, sponge, it's spongy, it has lots of holes in it. It's very porous, so it's good for beneficial bacteria to grow on. And yeah, so it's great for filtration in that sense. Good for getting nitrates out of the water. So yeah. Alright, now we're over here at my koi guppy fish tank. And we're going to be talking about temperature. Nothing in particular about this tank, just something to look at while I talk about it. So temperature is pretty important when it comes to guppies. So if you've ever seen a cold fish, you see how they slow down versus when the fish would be in warmer water. Ponds are good examples of this. If you ever looked at goldfish during the winter, very slow, very just slowed down in general, versus in the summer when they're zipping around and swimming all around the place. So same kind of applies to guppies and pretty much every fish. So if you want a longer living guppy, if you're just having guppies just to have them, you usually want to keep them in a little bit cooler water, around 65 to 70. And if you're breeding, I prefer to keep mine in a little bit warmer because I want them to be having babies more often and I want the babies to be growing up quicker. So I keep them around 78. Guppies can really go from around 65 to 80. They can go lower than that, they can go higher than that. The sweet spot for me personally is just 65 to 80. That's all I would do personally. Once you get warmer or cooler than that, they start to struggle a little bit. But yeah, with warmer water, your babies will grow quicker. You won't get as much life out of the parents, unfortunately, but it's nothing too drastic. But yeah, with cooler water, your babies will grow up a little bit slower. Yeah, that's why I prefer warmer water, because I'm selling fish all the time. Most fish are bred in warmer water. If people buy them to have them as a display tank or just as a pet, it's alright if you move them to cooler water. Most people do that. That's just how most fish are bred, in warmer water. So yeah, temperature plays a pretty big role in guppy growth and development. So the last tip we're going to cover for today is tank size. I breed a lot of my specific pairs or specific strains of guppies in 10 gallons. It just works best for me with how fast I sell them and stuff. And as you can see in this tank, this is just a 10 gallon. There's lots of babies, very few adults. But when we head over to these tanks, these guys are 20 longs, and these are my mutt guppies. And you can see there's a lot more guppies in there, a lot more adults. So obviously more fish means they're producing more waste, and with that you need to have more water volume if you want it to be easier to take care of and you don't have to do water changes every single day. With most fish, in my opinion, if not all, the bigger the tank, the better. And that's because it gives fish a nice area to swim and grow. And obviously, if you're breeding, you want your fish to grow quick. So yeah, just tank size adds a lot better chances of survival and not having sickness and stuff like that. So yeah, I just keep a lot of adults if I have a bunch in a 20 gallon. Like I said, the bigger the better. So if you have a bigger tank, not gonna hurt, obviously. And a smaller tank isn't the worst, in my opinion. If you're keeping it on a small scale, of course, not having like this 50 adults in a, not 50, but 25 or something in a 5-gallon tank. I would say the minimum you can breed guppies in, if you're just doing it very small scale, if you're just doing like one pair at a time, like up here, this is only a 5-gallon, but as long as you have proper filtration, a 5-gallon would probably be the minimum, I would say. But there's very, very few fish in here. Once I start getting more, I'm gonna move them into a 10. But for now, if it's just a few fish, they're fine in a 5. I would say minimum 5 or 10 gallons for breeding at a low scale. If you want to bump it up, 20 highs, 20 longs, even 15 gallons, then you can do like 29 highs, 30 gallons, stuff like that. Yeah, I wouldn't say anything bigger than that, because that's just hard to keep track of things if you're trying to do a specific strain. If you're doing mutts, go crazy. Get a 2,000 gallon pond and put mutt guppies in there and see what happens. Just the larger the tank, it's harder to keep an eye on things. Water quality is a lot easier to maintain with a larger tank though, so keep that in mind. But with that, I think we're going to wrap up the video here. Any more questions or wanting to purchase any fish, I'll have some contact information down in the description. I'll have my email there. You can message me at carsonsaquarium@yahoo.com if you have any questions on stuff like that. But for now, yeah, I think we're going to wrap up the video. I do have a lot of fish for sale, a lot of guppies, lots of other fish there too. If you ask me what all I got, I'll let you know. So yeah, like I said, for the 5th time, I think we're gonna wrap up the video here. So alright, here we are at the end of the video. Thank you guys for watching. If you want me to make any specific videos on breeding any certain types of species that I have, let me know, because I can do that. I've bred most of the things that I own. Any specific videos on raising different types of fry, hatching brine shrimp, other stuff like that could be useful, or things on plants. I'm not the best at plants, but I'm getting there. I'm getting better. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Be sure to subscribe and like the video, and like I said earlier, contact information is in the description if you want to purchase anything. See ya.